The medical board hearing room was packed. Families of victims, reporters, cameras everywhere. The famous surgeon sat confidently at the defense table. He'd gotten away with it for 2 years. But then she walked in. The nurse he'd destroyed. The one he'd blamed. The one everyone forgot about. In her hand, a flash drive. 2 recordings. 2 deaths. Same mistake. His face went white. Because she'd had the evidence all along. And now she was going to end him. Welcome to Story Nation, your destination for emotional, dramatic, and inspiring true stories. Subscribe now for more stories that will touch your heart. Let's get started. Fatima Hassan loved her job. 32 years old. Senior nurse at St. Michael's Private Hospital. 7 years of perfect service. She'd worked her way up from nothing. Immigrant family. Put herself through nursing school. Everyone respected her. Patients loved her. Nurse Fatima always remembers my name. One elderly patient said, "She's the best we have," said the head of nursing. Today was a good day. Fatima was assisting in a major surgery. Dr. Amir Malik, the hospital's star surgeon, featured in magazines. Wealthy patients came from across the country just for him. Fatima had assisted him dozens of times. She knew his techniques, his preferences, his routines. But today, something felt different. Dr. Malik seemed distracted, rushed, not his usual precise self. The patient was Mrs. Eleanor Chen, 68 years old. Routine heart valve replacement. Standard procedure. Dr. Malik had done hundreds of these. But 20 minutes into surgery, Fatima noticed something. "Doctor," she said quietly. "The suture technique." "I know what I'm doing, Nurse Hassan," he snapped, not looking up, still rushing. Fatima watched, her stomach tightening. The sutures weren't right. Too loose. Wrong angle. She'd seen him do this surgery perfectly before. This wasn't it. "Dr. Malik, I really think—" "Are you questioning me?" he said sharply. The other nurses went silent. "I have 20 years of experience. You have 7. Now hand me the clamp and be quiet." Fatima's hands shook, but she obeyed. 30 minutes later, the surgery ended. Dr. Malik stripped off his gloves. "Routine procedure. She'll be fine." He walked out, but Fatima knew something was very, very wrong. 6 hours post-surgery. Mrs. Chen's vitals started dropping. Fatima was monitoring her in recovery. Blood pressure falling. Heart rate irregular. Code blue. Code blue. The team rushed in. They tried everything. Resuscitation. Emergency interventions. Nothing worked. Mrs. Chen died at 11:47 p.m. Fatima stood in the corner, tears streaming down her face. She knew why this happened. The faulty sutures. The rushed technique. Dr. Malik's mistake. But would anyone believe her? The next morning, hospital administration called a meeting. Fatima thought they wanted her report. Her observations. She was wrong. So very wrong. Dr. Malik sat at the conference table. Hospital director, legal team, and Fatima. "We've reviewed the case," the director said. "Mrs. Chen's death was unfortunate, but it appears there was a medication error." Fatima's blood went cold. "What?" Dr. Malik looked at her, his face sympathetic. "Fake. The post-operative medication," he said smoothly. "I specifically instructed heparin at 5,000 units, but according to the chart, 50,000 units were administered. A tenfold error." Everyone turned to Fatima. "That's not true," she said, voice shaking. "I gave exactly what was prescribed. 5,000 units. The chart says otherwise," the director said, pushing papers toward her. Fatima looked, her handwriting, but the number had been changed. Altered. "I didn't write that," she insisted. "Someone changed it." "Nurse Hassan," the director said coldly. Dr. Malik is this hospital's top surgeon. You're accusing him of falsifying records? I'm saying someone changed my notes. The room went silent. The legal team exchanged glances. We're terminating your employment, effective immediately. And we're reporting you to the nursing board. You'll likely lose your license. Fatima couldn't breathe. You can't do this. Security will escort you out. Dr. Malik stood, walked past her, leaned in close enough only she could hear. You should have stayed quiet. Then he smiled and left. Fatima's nursing license was suspended, pending investigation. The hospital's statement was clear. Nurse Fatima Hassan made a fatal medication error. Patient died due to her negligence. The media ran with it. Nurse's mistake kills patient at elite hospital. Fatima couldn't find work. Any work. Not as a nurse. Not even as a medical assistant. Her name was toxic. Blacklisted. Her husband Ahmed tried to support her. We'll get through this, he said. But the stress broke them. I can't do this anymore, Ahmed said 6 months later. This isn't the life I signed up for. He filed for divorce. Took their car. Half their savings. Fatima was alone. Lost her career. Her marriage. Her reputation. Everything. She moved into a tiny studio apartment. Worked at a call center. Minimum wage. Every day she thought about Mrs. Chen. About Dr. Malik. About the injustice. But what could she do? She was just a discredited nurse. He was a famous surgeon. Nobody would believe her. Unless she had proof. One night, Fatima was organizing her belongings. Found her old work bag. The one security had handed her when they escorted her out. Inside was her tablet. Hospital issued. She'd used it to review patient charts during surgeries. She turned it on. Battery dead. She charged it. And then she remembered. The tablet had a recording feature. For surgical notes. Voice memos. Some nurses used it. Fatima rarely did. But that day, that surgery, she'd been wearing her Bluetooth headset. Connected to the tablet. For hands-free note-taking, had it been recording? The tablet powered on. She navigated to the voice memo app. There it was. File dated the day of Mrs. Chen's surgery. Duration, 2 hours, 43 minutes. Her hand shook as she pressed play. Static. Surgical sounds. Then voices. Doctor, the suture technique. I know what I'm doing, Nurse Hassan. It was all there. Every word. Every instruction. Every moment of that surgery. Fatima listened to the entire recording. Tears streaming down her face. The proof was right here. Dr. Malik's rush technique. Her attempts to warn him. Him dismissing her. The faulty sutures. Everything. She had the evidence. She'd had it all along. Fatima knew she had to be smart. Careful. Dr. Malik was powerful. The hospital protected him. If she went to them with this recording, they'd bury it. Destroy it. Destroy her. Again. She needed to wait. For the right moment. For the right leverage. So she made copies. Saved the recording to 3 different cloud services. Put the original on a flash drive. Kept it with her, always. And she watched. Followed Dr. Malik's career from afar. He was still operating. Still celebrated. Still making money. The hospital swept Mrs. Chen's death under the rug. Settled with her family quietly. NDA signed. Nobody talked about it. Fatima worked her call center job. Lived her small life. But every night, she listened to that recording. Reminded herself. She had the truth. And someday, somehow, she'd use it. 2 years passed. Fatima almost gave up hope. Then she saw the news. And everything changed. Breaking news from St. Michael's Hospital. A patient has died following complications from heart surgery. Fatima's heart stopped. She turned up the volume. The patient, 28-year-old Sarah Martinez, was a young mother of 2. She underwent a routine valve replacement. Surgery was performed by renowned cardiac surgeon Dr. Amir Malik. Fatima felt sick. Another death. Another valve replacement. Another routine procedure. She researched everything she could find. Hospital statements, family interviews, medical reports. The details were eerily familiar. Postoperative complications, suture failure, same type of surgery, same surgeon, same mistake? Fatima knew. She absolutely knew. Dr. Malik had done it again. This time he blamed unexpected complications. Patient had underlying conditions we couldn't predict. No nurse was blamed this time, but a young mother was still dead, and Dr. Malik would get away with it. Again, unless Fatima did something. She'd stayed quiet for 2 years, waited, suffered, lost everything. But now she had a second case, a pattern, and the evidence to prove it. It was time. Fatima didn't go to the hospital. She went to the state medical board, filed a formal complaint against Dr. Amir Malik. 2 cases of surgical negligence. One where she was wrongfully blamed, one where another family suffered. She submitted her evidence. The recording from Mrs. Chen's surgery, medical records she'd kept, her own testimony. The medical board investigated. Quietly, thoroughly. They interviewed other nurses who'd worked with Dr. Malik, discovered more complaints. Silenced by the hospital. Buried. They reviewed Sarah Martinez's case. Found irregularities. Same type of suture failure. Same surgical errors. A pattern. 3 months later, Fatima received a letter. Your complaint has been reviewed and validated. A formal hearing has been scheduled. Dr. Amir Malik's medical license is under review. Your testimony will be required. Fatima read the letter 3 times. Then she cried, not from sadness, from relief. Finally, someone was listening. The hearing was scheduled for June 15th. Fatima barely slept the week before. What if they didn't believe her? What if Dr. Malik's lawyers destroyed her credibility? What if the hospital's legal team protected him? She'd been through this before. Lost everything. Could she survive losing again? The night before the hearing, her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Fatima Hassan? A woman's voice. Yes? This is Jessica Martinez, Sarah's sister. Fatima's breath caught. I heard you filed the complaint against Dr. Malik. Yes, Fatima said quietly. There was a pause. Then Jessica spoke, her voice breaking. Thank you. My sister had 2 babies, 3 and 5 years old. They don't understand why mommy isn't coming home. The hospital said it was just bad luck. But I knew something was wrong. I knew it. Tears streamed down Fatima's face. I'm so sorry for your loss. Don't apologize, Jessica said. Just make sure he never does this to another family. I will, Fatima promised. I swear I will. The next morning, she walked into that hearing room, not for herself, for Mrs. Chen, for Sarah Martinez, for their families, and for every future patient Dr. Malik might hurt. She was ready. The hearing room was exactly like the opening scene. Packed. Media. Families. Fatima sat at the witness table. Dr. Malik sat with 3 expensive lawyers. Designer suit. Confident smile. Like he'd already won. The medical board panel consisted of 5 doctors, 2 nurses, 1 patient advocate. Miss Hassan, the lead board member, said, "Please present your evidence." Fatima placed the flash drive on the table. This recording was made during Mrs. Eleanor Chen's surgery 2 years ago. It captures the entire procedure. Dr. Malik's lawyer stood immediately. Objection. This recording was made without Dr. Malik's knowledge or consent. It was made during a medical procedure in a hospital. Fatima interrupted. Her voice steady now. Strong. where recording for quality control and patient safety is standard practice. I was using hospital equipment. In a hospital operating room, there is no expectation of privacy during surgery. The board members nodded. Objection overruled. We'll hear the recording. Fatima pressed play. The room filled with the sounds of that surgery. Her voice. Doctor, the suture technique. Dr. Malik's voice. Sharp. Dismissive. I know what I'm doing, Nurse Hassan. Everyone listened. For 23 minutes of relevant excerpts. Every warning Fatima gave. Every time Dr. Malik ignored her. The rushed procedure. The faulty technique. All of it. When it ended, the room was silent. Dr. Malik's face had gone from confident to pale. His lawyers were whispering frantically. And Fatima felt something she hadn't felt in 2 years. Hope. Dr. Malik, the board chair said, do you have a response to this recording? Dr. Malik stood, straightened his tie. That recording is taken out of context. Out of context? Fatima stood too, her voice rising. You dismissed every warning I gave you. You rushed through a complex procedure. And when Mrs. Chen died because of your mistakes, you blamed me. You falsified my medication records. You destroyed my career, my marriage, my entire life. And you're saying it's out of context? The room erupted. Reporters typing furiously. Family members gasping. Dr. Malik's lawyer tried to interrupt. My client. We're not done, the board chair said. Looking at Fatima. Miss Hassan, you also submitted evidence regarding Sarah Martinez's case? Yes, Fatima said, sitting back down. Calmer now. I obtained the surgical records through a Freedom of Information request. The same type of surgery. The same type of complications. The same suture failures. She placed the comparison charts on the table, side by side. Mrs. Chen's case. Sarah Martinez's case. The similarities were undeniable. 2 patients, Fatima said, 2 years apart. Same surgeon, same mistakes. This isn't bad luck. This is a pattern. The board members studied the charts. One of them, a senior cardiac surgeon, spoke up. Dr. Malik, these suture techniques are below standard care. In both cases, how do you explain this? Dr. Malik had no answer. His lawyers had no answer, because there was no answer, except the truth. He'd made fatal mistakes, twice, and tried to cover them up, both times. The board called additional witnesses, nurses who'd worked with Dr. Malik. Now that Fatima had broken the silence, others came forward. He often rushed through procedures. He didn't like being questioned. We were afraid to speak up. The hospital always protected him. One by one, they testified. Years of complaints. Ignored, buried, hidden, all to protect the hospital's star surgeon. The medical board also called someone unexpected. Dr. Lisa Chen, Mrs. Eleanor Chen's daughter, a cardiologist herself. I reviewed my mother's surgical records, Dr. Chen said, her voice shaking with controlled anger. As a cardiac surgeon, I know what proper technique looks like. Dr. Malik's work was substandard, but the hospital told our family it was a medication error. They blamed Nurse Hassan. We believed them. We settled and signed an NDA. She looked directly at Dr. Malik. I'm breaking that NDA right now, because my mother deserves justice, and Fatima Hassan deserves vindication. The hearing lasted 3 days. Testimony, evidence, expert witnesses. Hospital administrators were called. They squirmed, admitted they'd prioritized reputation over safety, protected Dr. Malik because he brought in wealthy patients, silenced complaints, falsified records. Everything Fatima had said was true, and more. On the 4th day, the medical board delivered their ruling. The room was packed again. Fatima sat in front. Dr. Malik looked smaller now, deflated. His lawyers had stopped their confident posturing. The board chair read the decision. After reviewing all evidence and testimony, the board finds Dr. Amir Malik guilty of gross negligence in the death of Eleanor Chen, in the death of Sarah Martinez, and in the falsification of medical records. Dr. Malik's medical license is hereby revoked permanently. The room erupted. Applause, tears, relief. Dr. Malik sat frozen. Furthermore, the board continued, this case is being referred to the district attorney. For criminal prosecution, charges may include negligent homicide and fraud. Security stood near Dr. Malik, just in case. But he didn't resist. He just sat there, watching his career, his reputation, his life collapse around him. Fatima felt tears streaming down her face. But she wasn't sad. She was free. After 2 years, finally free. Outside the hearing room, reporters surrounded Fatima. Miss Hassan, how do you feel about the verdict? Justice was served today, Fatima said. Her voice clear, strong. Not just for me, but for Mrs. Chen, for Sarah Martinez, and for every patient who trusted Dr. Malik. Will you pursue legal action against the hospital? My lawyer is reviewing options. And she did have a lawyer now, Maria Torres, the same lawyer who'd helped another woman. In another story, Maria specialized in medical malpractice, whistleblower protection. The hospital knew, Maria said to the cameras. They knew Dr. Malik was dangerous. They prioritized profit over patient safety. They destroyed Fatima's career to protect their star surgeon. They will be held accountable. Within a week, the hospital settled. $2.5 million to Fatima. Public apology. Full restoration of her nursing credentials. Dr. Chen's family received an additional settlement. Sarah Martinez's family received compensation. And Dr. Malik? He faced criminal charges. Pleaded guilty to negligent homicide. 2 counts. Sentenced to 8 years in prison. Lost everything. Career. Medical license. Freedom. Reputation. The man who tried to destroy Fatima was destroyed himself by the truth she'd kept safe for 2 years, waiting for the right moment. And when that moment came, she didn't hesitate. Fatima didn't go back to nursing right away. She needed time to heal, to process, to rebuild. She used some of the settlement money for therapy. You held on to that recording for 2 years, her therapist said, knowing you had the truth, but unable to use it. That took incredible strength. Fatima smiled. Or incredible fear. Both, the therapist said. You were afraid. And strong. Both can be true. 6 months after the hearing, Fatima enrolled in a patient advocacy program. She wanted to help others. People who'd been harmed by medical negligence. Who felt powerless. Like she had. She started speaking at medical conferences, nursing schools, hospital ethics boards. If you see something wrong, she would say, document it. Speak up. And if they don't listen, don't give up. The truth doesn't have an expiration date. It waits for the right moment. Her story became famous in medical circles. The nurse who had the evidence. Articles, interviews, a podcast episode. She became a voice for patient safety, for nurse advocacy, for speaking truth to power. And she never forgot. Mrs. Chen, Sarah Martinez, the families who lost loved ones because of one man's arrogance and one system's corruption. She dedicated her work to them every day. 3 years after the hearing, Fatima stood at a podium. National Patient Safety Conference. Keynote speaker. 500 healthcare professionals in the audience. I was blamed for a death I didn't cause, she began. I lost my job, my license, my marriage, my reputation, everything. And I had the proof of my innocence. But I couldn't use it, because I was powerless. Or so I thought. She paused, looked out at the audience. But I wasn't powerless. I had evidence. I had truth. And I had patience. I waited 2 years. For the right moment. For the right leverage. And when that moment came, I didn't hesitate. The truth doesn't care how long it takes. Justice doesn't have a deadline. If you're a nurse, a doctor, any healthcare worker, and you see something wrong, document it. Every word, every action, every warning you give. Because someday, that evidence might be the only thing standing between truth and lies. The applause was thunderous. Standing ovation. But Fatima wasn't doing this for applause. She was doing it so no other nurse would ever go through what she did, alone, blamed, destroyed, for telling the truth. 5 years after everything changed, Fatima received an unexpected visitor at her patient advocacy office. A young woman, nervous, carrying a folder. "Miss Hassan, I'm a nurse at St. Michael's Hospital, Fatima's old hospital. I think I'm seeing something wrong. A doctor making mistakes. But I'm afraid to speak up. Afraid I'll lose everything. Like you did." Fatima sat her down, listened to her story, helped her document everything, connected her with the right lawyers, the right board members, protected her, guided her, gave her the courage she'd had to find alone. 6 months later, another negligent doctor was stopped before anyone else died, because one nurse spoke up and had someone to back her up. Fatima smiled. This was her purpose now. Not revenge, not even justice for herself, but protection for others, making sure no one faced what she faced. Alone, powerless, blamed, she turned her pain into purpose, her suffering into strength, her silence into a voice for others. And Dr. Malik? He sat in prison, where he belonged, not because Fatima sought revenge, but because she sought truth and held on to it until the right moment. On the 5-year anniversary of the medical board hearing, Dr. Lisa Chen called Fatima. "I wanted you to know something. My mother's case, the awareness it brought. We started a foundation, the Eleanor Chen Patient Safety Foundation. We fund research, training programs, legal support for healthcare whistleblowers. And we want you on our board." Fatima joined, not as the nurse who was blamed, but as the advocate who changed the system. The foundation helped dozens of cases. Nurses who reported unsafe practices, patients who questioned negligent care, families seeking answers. Each time Fatima helped someone, she thought of that recording, the one she'd carried for 2 years, like a weight and a weapon, not knowing when she'd be able to use it, just knowing she had to keep it safe, keep the truth safe, because truth doesn't expire. It waits for justice, for the right moment, for someone brave enough to speak it, even when the cost is everything. 8 years later, Fatima published a book, The Evidence I Carried, A Nurse's Fight for Truth and Justice. It became required reading in nursing schools, medical ethics courses, patient safety programs. She toured hospitals, teaching about documentation, about speaking up, about protecting yourself while protecting patients. "Always have evidence," she would say, "because your word alone won't be enough. The system protects the powerful, so you protect yourself. Document everything, every conversation, every warning, every concern, because someday you might need proof, not just of what happened, but that you tried to stop it." Young nurses approached her after every speech. "You're my hero. You saved my career. You gave me courage." But Fatima always said the same thing. "I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who refused to let lies become truth, who waited for the right moment, and when it came, didn't let fear stop me." That's all any of them needed to be. Not heroes, just truthful, brave enough to hold on, patient enough to wait, strong enough to speak, When the moment came, 10 years after that terrible surgery, Fatima stood at Mrs. Chen's grave, laid flowers. "I hope you're at peace," she whispered. "I made sure he could never hurt anyone else. Your daughter and I. We changed the system. Because of you." She visited Sarah Martinez's grave, too. The young mother, gone too soon. "Your sister fought for you. Your babies are growing up knowing their mom was brave." And that justice was served. Fatima wasn't angry anymore, wasn't bitter. The 2 years of suffering, the loss, the pain, they'd shaped her, made her stronger, given her purpose. She'd lost her job, but found her calling, lost her marriage, but found her strength, lost her reputation, but built a legacy, all because she held on to the truth. When everyone told her to let it go, to move on, to accept defeat, she held on, and the truth eventually set her free. Thank you for watching.